Hello there, I'm Esther de las Casas, Communications Lead at Ment Abacus. Dan was supposed to read today's piece himself. Instead, he's currently busy with something unexpectedly complex, figuring out how the seat heating in his car actually works. Last week, he was stuck in traffic during a snowstorm, exactly when he had to deliver a pre-scheduled talk to university students, parked in the middle of nowhere at a gas station. Thanks to technology doing what it's supposed to do, everything worked out just fine. With seat heating, though, it might have been an even better experience. As it turned out, under time pressure, Dan also forgot to change the Zoom background, so his audience was greeted by a beautiful tropical beach. Anyway, so here I am again, reading Dan's piece to you. The title is, Why Attention Always Creates Hierarchies. I hope you enjoy it. Every moment of human understanding is shaped by attention. We do not encounter the world as a neutral stream of information. We orient ourselves, we focus. Some signals stand out, while others fade into the background. This is not a defect of cognition, it is its operating condition. Attention is not neutral, it never has been. From a biological perspective, attention exists because time, energy, and safety are limited. To attend to one thing is necessarily to not attend to something else. Selection is not a philosophical choice, it is a functional necessity. Without selection, there is no action. Without action, there is no learning. The moment attention moves, hierarchy is created. Human attention does not operate like a database or a search engine. It does not scan everything first and then sort. It foregrounds what matters now and suppresses what does not. This happens continuously, across perception, thought, and reasoning. In any complex situation, some elements immediately become decisive, while others recede. This constant reordering is not a failure of rationality. It is how rationality becomes possible at all. If everything carried equal weight, nothing could guide judgment or action. Hierarchy is not imposed on understanding from the outside. It emerges from attention itself. This becomes especially visible in the process of learning. Consider the experience of learning to read a demanding text. At first, everything appears equally important. Each sentence competes for attention, and nothing clearly stands out as structural. Understanding feels effortful and unstable. With familiarity, something shifts. Certain passages begin to carry more weight. Some sentences reveal themselves as load-bearing, while others function as explanation or detail. Attention no longer distributes itself evenly. It reorganizes. This hierarchy is not imposed from the outside. It emerges through engagement. Without this internal prioritization, comprehension would collapse under its own weight. Learning, in this sense, is not the accumulation of information, but the gradual recognition of what actually holds the structure together. Problems arise when learning environments ignore this basic constraint. When information is presented as flat, when everything is treated as equally relevant, the mind is asked to do something it was never designed to do. Attention has no anchor. Everything competes with everything else. The result is not deeper understanding, but cognitive overload. This is why learners often feel busy yet retain little. The issue is rarely a lack of intelligence or motivation. It is a mismatch between how information is presented and how attention actually works. Hierarchy is not created by good teaching. It is revealed by it. Crucially, hierarchy is not fixed. What matters most depends on context, purpose, and stage of understanding. What feels foundational to a beginner may seem trivial to an expert. What once appeared peripheral can later become decisive. Attention continuously reshapes hierarchy as understanding evolves. This is why meaningful learning always happens at a frontier, the point where existing structures are just sufficient and the next element changes how everything else is seen. At that frontier, attention tightens, prioritization intensifies, and hierarchy becomes especially pronounced. Ignoring this dynamic does not make learning more open or flexible. It makes it less effective. If attention necessarily selects, and selection necessarily creates hierarchy, then hierarchy is not an optional feature of human understanding. It is its precondition. Meaning does not emerge from processing everything, but from knowing what must come first, what can follow, and what can safely recede. This has consequences for how we think about learning, reasoning, and judgment. Any environment that flattens relevance, accelerates indiscriminately, or treats all information as equally important works against the basic mechanics of the human mind. It does not make understanding more accessible. It makes it more fragile. The question, then, is no longer whether hierarchy should play a role in learning. It already does, quietly, continuously, and unavoidably. The real question is whether we design our tools and practices in alignment with this fact, or whether we ignore it while expecting humans to keep up. As systems grow faster at producing, summarizing, and recombining information, this tension will only become more visible. What remains to be clarified is how human understanding can stay grounded, selective, and reliable in an environment where speed and volume are no longer the limiting factors. We will take up this question in the next piece. And that was today's article. A small update from the driveway. Dan has apparently made progress with the seat heating. Whether he's actually mastered it remains an open question. In any case, today's piece was about attention, hierarchy, and how understanding quietly takes shape long before we notice it. Next week, we'll take this one step further and look at what all of this means in a world defined by speed, scale, and artificial intelligence. Until then, thanks for checking in, and enjoy the rest of this week. And remember, as Dan always says, learning isn't a trend. Structure still works. Square, not hip.
Every story needs structure. Every mind needs a map. Ment Abacus. Square, not hip. Visit us at mentabacus.com.